Welcome back, you guys, and let's talk about some players that were traded at the deadline that should improve their team's chances of getting to where they need to be. In theory, these players should give their teams a new dynamic and improve them, whether that's a team not making the playoffs this year or a team looking to win a playoff series. Of course, I could be wrong, so if you have any objections, don't hesitate to let me know. First on the list, we got Marc Gasol, and this trade surprised me because I was not expecting him to get traded after the talks with Charlotte fell out. Even though this team is really good and has a chance of making the finals, they had matchup problems against the Bucks and the Celtics, and that's what I think this Marc Gasol trade is about, matching up in the playoffs. There is a whole new dynamic here with Gasol. You got another shooter at the 5, you can get him involved in the high post, the low post, and you can use him as a screener, and he's very creative with the ball as a passer. JV is probably a better finisher, but Gasol is better in every facet of basketball to me, so I get the trade. JV is good, of course, and this could backfire, but I think you got to make this deal if you're going all in with Kawhi. When the Bucks got Nikola Mirotic, I was even more worried for Jonas Valanciunas in a playoff series because it's going to be hard for him to attack those closeouts, recover, and play on the perimeter. Even though Marc Gasol is declining, he is slightly more capable of moving out on the perimeter than JV is. Serge Ibaka and Pascal Siakam are going to get those crunch time minutes in small ball lineups anyway. Of course, there are downsides. Like I said, he is aging, he is slower than he used to be, and he could get injured. On the other hand, the Raptors still need like one more shooter and one more guy that can dribble that's not Lowry. Gasol isn't a pick and roll ball handler type of player, obviously, but he's another guy you can rely on to create offense on the fly or be in the background next to Lowry or Kawhi. Masai Ujiri is wild, man. He's going all in right now with Kawhi, and he's trading everybody from those earlier Raptors teams in the decade. I knew we had to have something cooking up because the Raptors need a jolt in their system, and Marc Gasol definitely brings that as a passer and defender. The Milwaukee Bucks last night just scored 148 points, and yes, I know the Wizards stink, but they just added a guy in Nikola Mirotic that is going to make them that much harder to stop with his three-point shooting at the power forward position. The Bucks made one of the biggest transformations of the year. Last season with Jason Kidd, they were not taking as many threes because of his philosophy and not having the personnel. Well, this year they have the personnel and the coaching. The 2019 Bucks are today's version of the 2009 Magic. I made this point on Twitter when the trade happened. The Bucks are pretty much the 2009 Magic on steroids. But after a couple of minutes, I realized that might not be the best phrasing because I think 3 of the players on that Magic team were on performance-enhancing drugs. This is a natural progression from that 2009 team. You have an MVP candidate that dunks at will while being surrounded by shooters, except the shooters this time around take way more threes. In the playoffs last year against Portland, Mirotic made it very easy for Rondo and AD to have space when they drove, and when he did get the ball, Mirotic made smart plays and made his three-point shots. What this trade also does is gives them another option when they go to Giannis at center against Boston or Toronto. You can slide in Mirotic and it's a natural, easy fit. There's nothing new he's going to have to learn. He's going to be standing in the corners or at the hash mark. I don't know what else to honestly say. It's just a great trade. There are some things Mirotic is not great at. He plays with effort, but I'd call him an average to a below average defender, and he's also been prone to get injured, but I wouldn't be too concerned about the defense at the moment, as they have other guys to make up for his lack of foot speed. I can't wait to see Mirotic play in the playoffs. Giannis' biggest issue is shooting, and that doesn't even matter that much because there's going to be 4 other players that are good to great shooters surrounding him to make up for it. The Sixers securing Tobias Harris in a trade made them that much tougher in a playoff series against Boston, Milwaukee, or Toronto. Just watching Tobias play this year, you know this is a nice fit in the starting lineup because of what Philly lacks. Obviously, there's still some issues in the starting lineup, but I like this trade though as a basketball fit. He's a 6'8" forward that shoots great from the outside, can put the ball on the floor to make a play, and brings needed spacing to the Ben Simmons and Butler pairing. Let me say it for you if you did not get it already. Tobias is not just a good outside shooter, he's an elite outside shooter. From the corners he's great, above the break line he's great, from the mid-range he's great, and even in floater range he's been efficient. Bringing Tobias Harris into the starting lineup is another place where you have to defend seriously. It's no longer going to be Wilson Chandler and Mike Muscala bricking threes off the side of the rim and taking up a bunch of minutes. You never had to worry about those guys as accurate shooters or guys that can make a play off the bounce. Now it's a guy that's 6'8", who can score 20 points and can make a play off the bounce. So what will Tobias not do? Well, he's not exactly a passer or a guy that's going to get people involved actively. Of course, he's had games this year where he made some plays for his teammates, but that's not his strength. He's going to be at times the fourth option on the floor, and most of his possessions won't be as a passer. That will be Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler's job mainly. Also, he's not the greatest defender or anything. I would probably consider him an average defender, but that's okay when you have Jimmy, Simmons, and Embiid backing you up. I wouldn't expect him to do well against Kawhi or Giannis, but enough negatives. I like this trade. I can see Tobias having a similar impact as Nikola Mirotic did for New Orleans in the playoffs last year. Obviously, Harris is a better player, but he's going to be slotted as that stretch four like Mirotic was to open up space for Embiid. It's been very easy for teams to just really load up on Embiid, Simmons, and Butler. All three of those guys are bad to average shooters, so Tobias brings a new dynamic that teams will have to adjust to. It's different with Harris. He's an elite spot-up shooter, he's a pretty good shooter off the dribble, and he's an 87% free throw shooter. That's a whole lot better than what the Sixers had on the floor last week at power forward. I'm going to be paying attention to see how the Sixers go about dividing up the offense between their stars. From what I've seen, Harris seems like a low-maintenance guy, so I'm sure he won't mind being relegated to a spot-up option when he plays with the starters. The Detroit Pistons traded Reggie Bullock to the Lakers, and he's definitely going to help. He is a 27-year-old 6'7" shooting guard that is now playing for his fifth team. Getting a guy like Reggie Bullock is what the Lakers front office should have been trying to do over the summer, but they got it right here. I understand the theory of getting more playmakers, but when you have LeBron on your team, you got to get some standstill shooters. Bullock fits that mold of a role player next to any star player that dominates the ball, especially LeBron. Reggie Bullock is the next guy in line to catch LeBron passes going back to Daniel Gibson, Anthony Parker, and Damon Jones. Reggie is someone that will stand at the three-point line, catch the pass if he gets it, and take the open shots. The good thing about Bullock is, even though he doesn't have playoff experience, he's a lot more proven than what the Lakers have shooting threes right now. Last season in Detroit, Reggie shot 45% on catch-and-shoot threes. This year, he's shooting 40% on catch-and-shoot threes, a slight drop-off, but that's a very good percentage. Not too many people paid attention to the Detroit Pistons, and I don't blame you, but Bullock has been one of the league's better outside shooters since 2017. Now, what will Reggie not do? Well, he's not someone you give the ball to and say, hey, let's create some offense for us in a pick and roll, or as a last-second isolation option. He does like to run some dribble handoff stuff to get to the rim that the Lakers should implement, but that's about it. With the Lakers, he's mainly going to be used as a guy to space the floor for everyone else. He is 6'7", so he does have some size to defend shooting guards and some small forwards, but don't expect him to be an all-NBA defender. He's not locking anyone down on the perimeter, but he does try and give effort, so that's all you can really ask for. The Lakers have been an above-average defensive unit all year, so I'm sure he'll fit in just fine. Okay, so this one might be a contested pick. I think Otto Porter will help the Bulls in this current timeline. Before we get into the details, I will explain why some Bulls fans might not like this one. I've read some people say, why are the Bulls using their cap space on a guy who's not a star? I've also read some people say, Otto will help the Bulls be good enough to where he messes up the tank, but he's not good enough to get them out of the lottery. You're not totally wrong. He's about an average to above average starter at best, but he's sort of regressed this year and he's paid like a star. I get it. I definitely see the downsides, as he could come in and regress even more as a player, but my thing is, you gotta build some stability with the starting lineup. What makes Porter good for the Bulls to me is that he doesn't dominate the ball and gives them some defensive versatility at 6'8", next to Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen. Let's be honest, Markkanen and LaVine like to shoot a lot, and you need guys in the starting lineup that are just going to stand there and do nothing. If the Bulls think Markkanen and LaVine are the future top two shot takers on the team, you need that guy that's going to space the floor next to him who doesn't eat up possessions. The Bulls haven't had much talent at the forward position in the last year and a half, so getting Otto is good to me. They were aware no one was coming in free agency. The good thing is Porter's contract ends before Markkanen and Wendell Carter have to get paid, so Porter fills a position of need as of now. I definitely see the downsides, but hey, maybe Otto just needed a new city to play in. And that's it for me, man. The NBA trade deadline is over. There are some trades I don't really care for, like the Harrison Barnes trade to the Kings. I get it, he does fill a need at the small forward spot. They have been looking for a small forward. They were looking for Otto Porter Jr., I believe. He is shooting the three at a nice rate, but he also likes to ISO a lot, so it's going to be interesting to see how he fits with the Kings. My next video should be on LeBron and his history with head coaches. Luke Walton has been on the hot seat, so that should be an interesting video. It should be coming out this weekend, so I'll see you guys then.